Fellow gold-digging basketball fans, I'm not labeling anyone. I'm just pointing out that the Denver Nuggets are named after the gold nuggets. History tells us that the gold diggers were digging out the precious metal from Colorado mountains and panning out of Colorado rivers back in the day. With that being explained, welcome to the first episode of the updated and improved Serbian Corner. You are used to us using the old Serbian Corner segments, but since the DNVR Serbian trip already happened and it was a huge success, it is time to move into the next chapter with completely new segments that will show you how a Serbian that has never been to Colorado, that would be me, views the rectangle state on the Rocky Mountains. You can also expect some Nuggets and general NBA trivia games and much, much more. Well, maybe not much more, but slightly more, I guess. Okay, my name is Miroslav, and I'm joined, as always, by Voja. What up, Voja?
Hey, how's it going, man? Good. I'm excited. I'm excited for this new thing. I also updated my Twitter handle too, so at least that's my contribution to the updated Serbian Corner.
Completely renewed. How was Nuggets Serbia?
It was great. Ago. We finished the NBA season preview. We had Nuggets division and Pacific division. The kind of news was good for us. Every week, right before we talk about a certain team, something new happened. So, like the first week was Boston. It was the Udoka thing. This week was the Draymond thing.
Thank you, Draymond.
And some Phoenix and stuff. So, yeah, it was a lot of it was at least we covered him as the news was going on. So, it was really fun. For Serbian people, check it out on the Nuggets Serbia channel. It was pretty fun to do 30 teams, all main stuff. And the next week, we'll do just completely Serbian. It was just completely Nuggets show.
Our guy, Ice Cave guy, said that we already had really big incidents in both of finalist teams from last season. So now we're waiting for the conference finals teams as well, so they can just clear the path to Denver Nuggets with their scandals. Okay, let's start with the first new segment, which is called the Mile High Positivity. It is a segment about what we were the most high or optimistic about last week. When I say we were the most high, I'm not saying marijuana because it's not legal either in Serbia or in Nebraska, right?
Yep.
So it's just a figure of speech. Okay. My mile high positivity of the week will be Michael Porter staying his efficient self despite not playing smart team basketball and settling for bad contested shots. I know it sounds ironic to say this is a positive thing, but I really think Michael being his usual self and not improving on defense or read and react basketball still might help the Nuggets winning a lot, even if that means him not being a part of closing lineups. He scored 20 points versus Chicago on 59% true shooting and 12 points in 15 minutes on 86% true shooting, and few people thought he actually played well. So he was kind of a mess on both sides of the court, but you still cannot deny the positivity of him being on court. I mean, all kidding aside, he's missed so much time, and I don't think it was really logical to expect him to improve vastly in any kind of team offense or team defense, since he wasn't training for so much time, and these are his first games. So hopefully we will see strides in that department as well. But for now on, I'm completely satisfied with this level of play from Michael Porter. What do you think?
Yeah, it's crazy that, I mean, when you talk about a back injury, you would think that's more drastic than a knee or any other injury. But he came back. I mean, yeah, you're right. I'm surprised that he's the same. We were expecting, even though they were saying to us, yeah, he's basically back to where he was as soon as the surgery was done. You're like, well, it's still the back injury. So that was pretty awesome. I liked what I saw. I can't deny it. It's just, especially in the second game, it's always, and that's a little bit of a tricky, it is positive, but it's also It sucks that every time he plays well is without Jokić, and it kind of is telling right now. And his shot is just heaven. Like, it's incredible. You see that jumper, and like again, he hasn't played in a while, so we forget how good of that jumper is. And honestly, I liked when in the beginning of the game, like his defense, he was staying in front of people. No one was scoring over him. He was one of those guys, like, ironically, like probably the weakest defender on the court of those like outside guys, and he was still staying in front of guys. And then people were shooting over him, but none of those shots were going in, which was awesome. And then later, I kind of honestly, I stay away from these preseason games a little bit. I watch them like kind of half-assed because I don't want to draw like too many conclusions, both positive or negative, from these games because it's still preseason and they know it, and so they act like it's preseason. But you're right, it's his jumper is awesome, and that's what I wanted to see. As far as other stuff, it was, I mean, it's he didn't play the whole season, and you can't improve team defense it's in summer. So I wanted to see just that he's active on one-on-one defense, and then we just need him to get minutes and keep playing and getting used to the team dynamic. And that's something we can talk about later, maybe in the negatives of the defensive struggles and just as a team. But that's honestly also that's a given, since as these guys haven't played together and the communication is different, and now Jokić wasn't playing, and so all that stuff. So I'm excited to see him play again. It was, again, I like shooters, so it's nothing odd for me to say that I love watching him shoot. But obviously, other stuff maybe give me some headaches sometimes. But yesterday was pretty great because, again, there was no Jokić there to maybe roll his eyes at him, kind of scoff, or like so just the style of it is more outside oriented. So they would run plays for him, and he would come off screens, and something that they could really do in general. They try, honestly, it was funny trying DeAndre Jordan off that high post, like handoffs and trying to pass inside. It was really funny to see him like try to emulate Jokić, which is like not something DeAndre Jordan is known for. So
yeah, this is Michael's age 24 season. I mean, I know he hasn't been playing for too many games in his NBA career, but he is almost a foreign player right now, and I don't think there is. I don't know how much you can completely reinvent him as a basketball player and make him into something he's not. I mean, I think they need to keep trying to integrate him in the read and react basketball with the starters. But on the other hand, you can give him a lot of minutes with the bench unit and just let him cook, because especially against the opponent bench units, he can just burn them in every situation. And if he gets like 10 points with starters and 15 points with the bench unit every time, we have a 25 point per game scorer, and that's really what you need to get from Michael Porter. So I think we're still on the right track, and hopefully it will get even better than that. Okay, let's see your mile high positivity for this week.
Well, mine is as usual. It's in the minutia. So I have another number 11 that I love on this team because Monte left a big hole in my heart, and we'll talk a little bit later why I think it's even a hole on the court. But there's Bruce Brown took his number, and I was really like, did it have to be 11 right now? But I love it. As I often say, I love versatility. I love players that can adapt to certain situations, and he seems so far. I mean, obviously we know he had a career in Brooklyn, so we know he's adaptable to different positions. I find it fascinating a little bit that he is also he's basically a secondary playmaker or first playmaker in the second unit with Bones. Isn't what Monte is. So neither of them are what Monte was, like a floor general type of point guard that's going to organize people and everything's going to go from him. And he's that high IQ pick and roll player. Bones we know what he is. He can score a bunch, and he showed yesterday. So what Bruce Brown is now filling that role is of that, sharing the duties of organizing around and like being actually, bringing the ball up, dribbling. And it's really fascinating just to see the switch from what he was doing in Brooklyn most often. And we know he goes from 1 to 5. So that's awesome. That, and then the shots that he's taking from the 3-point line aren't. It reminds me like it was just yesterday. It was like a weird vibe to me about like how Kalinic was in the Eurobasket. Just like he would just shoot the best possible shots, and that's how Bruce Brown was looking these few games when he was making them. It was just like, okay, I'm just gonna take this when it makes sense. I'm not gonna dribble ISO step backs or anything like this. Okay, if I can't get through past the guy, I'm gonna pass it. Let's reset it. Go back from where we were. The good, that's obviously the great thing. And I again, like defensively, I want to see, I want to see him use more. And honestly, offensively, when Jokić gets back in during the season, I hope he plays. Like so far, we've seen Malone do the hockey subs again, and I really hope we won't see another season of just bench starters. Like, because why would you get Bruce Brown and why would you get KCP and you have Michael Porter if you're just going to keep the same two lineups just interchangeably? Like Matt, try to give him some more like stuff. Like we know that he can do a lot more than just dribble over the half court, give it to Bones, and then like set up some guys and then shoot when he's open. Like he can give you a little more interesting things. So I really hope. Honestly, I'm not really optimistic that Malone will do any of that stuff because I've been looking forward to that for years, and even when we had a deep team, we weren't doing any of that. And let's say this year, first time he has like these type of versatile players, so he will play. But I really hope so because otherwise, you're using him like up to maybe like 50 or 60% of his potential if you're just using him for what he's used right now, even though I love what I see. And again, you said Michael Porter, if he doesn't close games, I would really hope to see like Bruce Brown close the game, see how he fares in those like, him and Gordon cutting on baselines and like reading, reacting off there because he can definitely like baseline cut, dish it off to Gordon for a dunk. I can see it in my head, like I can picture that like play development. So that's I love. I mean, I love what I see so far. What do you think about him? What's your overall impression?
We'll have a fan question later on describing every Nuggets player as a player that's most Serbian or least Serbian, and I would say that Bruce Brown is among the most Serbian players on the Nuggets team, meaning that he's really a multi-positional player that can play anything from 1 to 4, and I guess guard everything from 1 to 5, and that's really exciting to me. And I know he's not playing a lot of minutes with the starters right now by design, and I actually think it's not a bad idea to do that in preseason. Keep it really simple. Let's try to see some basic lineups in the preseason, and then add wrinkles as the game go by. Hopefully, they'll not lose like 4 out of first 5 games trying to add those wrinkles. Hopefully, they'll do it sooner than that. But we'll talk about the injuries later on the show. But actually, before the Bulls game, I was thinking that it might have been good to see the Nuggets play without Nikola, so Michael Malone would be forced into staggering of the starters, so we get to see Jamal or MPJ with the bench. But no, it was just DeAndre Jordan in his plays with the starters in the first quarter, and then Zeke Naji in the third quarter. At least we got to see both of those looks, which is not nothing. Okay, we got to see something, but I really was hoping to see like Porter with 4 bench guys, or
Jamal like, and also like Jeff Green back with the starters, because we said last week I talked about that he knew how to take advantage. Of course, yesterday without Jokić, like Jeff Green is not for this. Yeah, obviously he's not going to be used as well when he's not with Jokić on the court. So that part's fine. But just in general, I just hope I know it's kind of always tricky talking about this because again we talk about sometimes from the European EuroLeague standpoint of, hey, we can, because every game is important, you kind of go by the feel, you don't go with the strict rotation. Obviously in the NBA you kind of have to, because the number of minutes guys play, and then it's just a marathon in that case. But I still wish we will see something different than just 5 out 5 in and a little bit of stagger overlap, and that's it. Like it's everyone. I mean, it's not an accident. Everyone was praising the Bruce Brown signing and was salivating over the possibility with Jokić, it would be a shame if we don't see it. It really would, because again, like yes, you have KCP that right now everything looks like basically the same. Instead of Gary Harris is KCP, and the style of play is the same. And I really want to. We have a deep enough roster to do some different things. So I hope I actually get to see it. And if not, that's the thing is, if not, and we don't do well this season, then the questions are starting to, for Malone to get, posed by maybe, the higher ups of like, hey, we got everything we could, like what's going on. So otherwise, but yeah, the bottom line is number 11 again in my heart. So that's
Yeah, I guess we all seen that KCP's shots were not going into these two preseason games. But outside of that, did you see anything extra from him comparing to Gary, except for those extra 2 inches he has on Gary
from KCP.
from KCP?
Well, no, well, that's the thing is like, are they even asking him to do anything more? And that's the thing is like, we maybe with those stars we don't need to, and maybe that's good also that he's not, because we've seen things in Washington that like he can get the ball and maybe try solo and stuff. It is. I wish I would say maybe that's what you're talking about in the preseason. It's still starting, so let's just get the basics down, and then we can start experimenting with you and Jokić, dribble handoffs and pick and rolls like Gary was doing, and then he going to the basket. Because there's a lot of mouths to feed in that starting unit, and even like Gordon's kind of just like a off the side guy, like when he scores, when he's like the guy that's finishing the play. So it's not surprising again because they're so new, and even the defense is lacking because of that. I think because the newness and communication. But yeah, you're right. Like it does feel all familiar, and at some point you got to ask like, what's the is it the players that are coming in? We change these players out, and it always looks pretty much the same. What needs to change?
Is it the players or the system?
Yeah, exactly. And it's just we'll see. Again, this is just pretty. That's why I'm not drawing any like big conclusions. It's just so far what we've seen is pretty similar to when Gary was here. Again, if KCP is that good of a defender on ball like Gary was, and he can make shots that Gary used to make, like that's enough. That's what you pay him for. But it would be a shame because they have potential to do more than just that. And if you don't use them, they just stagnate, and then all that stuff that they used to have might get lost a little bit in the whole like jumble. So yeah, but overall, Bruce Brown, like that's my mile high positivity. Just also from the number 11 standpoint, and then also that he actually is. I wasn't expecting him to actually handle the ball and be that secondary playmaker in the second unit, because there was Devon Reed from last year and Bones and then him. Like it's an interesting trio. Like I really enjoy it.
Boy, by the way the second unit looked in these 2 games, we're just going to miss the old number 11 Monte Morris.
Yeah.
That was
You don't have to tell me.
I mean, hopefully, I'm actually pretty happy with what I saw from Ish Smith. He is quite dynamic, and he believes in himself when he's playing.
Yeah.
So and he's
to,
controlled like we spoke last week. So I'm really content that he is the third option on the point guard this season. It's just that Bones is such a wild card. He is such a dynamic scorer, but also he can go into these series of mistakes on defense and also on offense as well if the shot is not going in. So hopefully we'll see. It's not a big surprise that the second unit is struggling with the creation, because we lost Monte, we've lost Barton, we've lost Facu, and we got players that are not primary ball handlers. So it makes sense. So this is why, please, Michael Malone, please stagger, please. We plead you. Okay, let's now go to the second segment for this show, and it is called "Meeting a Mountain Lion on Your Front Porch." So this is the thing I believe people in Colorado are scared the most of. Well, if you meet
They'll
a
have to tell
hotline
us. Yeah.
on your front porch, I guess that's pretty scary. So this is a segment about what we were the most scared of or that made us the most pessimistic last week. And I thought my mountain lion meeting for this week would be Nikola Jokic's wrist injury and Jamal's lower body, or however the Nuggets medical staff called it. But my real mountain lion meeting at the front porch is actually the horrific defense we've seen so far. Nobody is successfully guarding neither perimeter nor the paint. OKC's G League squad dropped 112 points on them with Trey Mann and Aaron Wiggins and one of the Jalen Williamses. They were all unstoppable. So maybe it shouldn't be a surprise a real NBA team from Chicago scored so easily. And this is mostly about the starters. And we've had that comment from Ray. So doesn't feel like peak effort from starters on either end. And I agree. The starters really failed to show us the new rebuilded defense they're supposed to show us. And I can honestly, I cannot say much about defense of the second unit because the offense of those guys was so scattered. I just couldn't concentrate on both sides of the court, at least not for now. What do you think about this defense? Do you think I'm panicking too early, or are there some let's say systematic problems you already see that it's not letting them play better defense?
Well, yesterday was. I mean, yesterday you didn't have Nikola, and that's usually we've seen that over the
Yeah,
years.
the
That
worst defensive center in the league.
yeah, like
as some will
that's
say.
exactly, and that's the irony of it. We've seen it when he doesn't play that they are actually worse. Especially, I mean, because it's not Boogie there that it was last year. So you're like, okay, there's a little bit of at least like some movement. Like DeAndre is not. He's not supposed to be a starter, and especially when then you introduce him and KCP and Murray and Porter off of injuries, it's completely like just they're not used to each other. Like the defense takes time, and you can't just flip it. Like Toronto can have a good defense when they have like their main guys for 3 years now, and some of these teams, and it's not, and you're just not introducing a schematic that's like revolutionary, so everyone is like thrown off. It's just KCP's new. He has to get used to as a guy from the perimeter. He has to get used to what Murray can do, what Michael Porter can or can't do, what he can. I talked about it just in the Nuggets Serbia thing, just that about just KCP, including let's say Jokić is still there, just knowing also what Jokić can do and his like fast, for example, his fast hands, and the fact that he can like step up and it's not you don't have to like overhelp, or the fact that like Michael Porter is an own bad defender, maybe you overhelp, or in another case maybe you underhelp because you think like, oh, you expect your guy in the back to like read everything as you do. And so that that's why you mentioned in one of the pressers like communication right now, just to communicate on defense, because again they're not as familiar as when they were as even when Barton and Monte were playing, like even though maybe they're not the greatest defenders, they at least like know each other, know what they can do and how to communicate. And so it can bump up the quality as a team defense. So in this case, that's why I think like that what KCP said, communication is important, just to get used to what each person knows and how to position yourself, how to help certain players, and like, hey, I know Murray's like bad against this type of defender, so if he's playing against whatever Fox, let's say, I know I need to help out a little bit more on this side or that side, or if he's playing against a bigger guard, he's good, I don't have to help out as much. So those kind of details, like they're not going to be solved like in training camp that easily. That's just again playing. So I don't know if it's like panicking. It sucks. Like you would hope that it would click, like, oh, let's go. But if you remember when Gordon came in, everyone else was there around him for so long. Like it clicked immediately. But because again, all four were good. This is especially against Chicago, introducing two new guys and then two guys off of injuries into the starting lineup. So that's I think just if you don't, and again, is communication, maybe like some mistrust sometimes, like you don't know them, so you don't trust them completely yet to help you or like to for you to help them in certain situations. So I think that's the case. Second unit is for now it is what it is. We'll see. I think they have the potential. It's just they're completely new. So Devon Reed, Bruce Brown, Bones hasn't been in a situation to defend the primary ball or secondary ball handler. Bruce Brown is new again, and so yeah, we'll see. It's definitely interesting and it is defeating. But again, Ray might be on point there. Just like the effort isn't there because it's preseason and they're a veteran team. It's one of maybe like trade backs of like everyone was saying how good the vibe was, and it was like a feel of a veteran team in the training camp. Well, the trade off maybe that they know it's preseason because they're so veteran, so they're like, well, screw it, like we don't have to try that hard.
I'm a bit scared of the fact that they really are a veteran team, and veteran team also knows that the season is really, really long, and 82 games is a lot of games, so they can screw around a bit during the regular season as well. But we'll see. That's one of the questions we'll save for the next segment. So basically, you have those two units, 10 guys in total. One suck on defense, the other one suck on offense. So if they could just mash that again, Michael Malone tried to find some mashing there. Also, we've got the question from Ray about adding different configurations of bench units, like with more Zeke, Vlatko, Davon, Christian, Ish.
Yeah, especially Zeke and Vlatko for me. I mean, Davon's already there, but I would love to see Vlatko more. Like he came in yesterday and he just not make many mistakes, and it's just annoying because it's like the potential or whatever. He's not playing because like that's his what you get, what you see is what you get with him, and there's no like potential upside or whatever the bull is. But he still just doesn't make too many mistakes. So I would want to see him, especially if you're going to rest a little bit of Jeff Green over the season, because you can put Vlatko in, Zeke instead of DeAndre Jordan, which might happen sooner or later. I would love to see it for sure.
Yeah, we've speaking only about the bench unit. I mean, it's really hard when you have both DeAndre Jordan and, for instance, Christian Brown, because Christian Brown will not try to create anything because he shouldn't. He shouldn't. Just like DeAndre Jordan shouldn't try to do anything, and he was trying some stuff last night. He had like 4 turnovers because he was trying to.
They gave him to play what Jokić plays. Like he tried backdoor cuts and backdoor passes and stuff. Well, that's what you're gonna do. That's their offense. Like he didn't do it on his own. They probably asked him to run these sets because if they had to change the playbook completely when Jokić is out, then that also is another can of worms there too. So
I also thought it was cute.
Yeah, it is.
It was cute. Okay, now we are moving to the next segment, and I was really proud of this segment, but I think I will have to change it a bit in the future. The name of the segment is Fun Question of the Week. Every week we'll tweet out the call for the fan question of the week, and we will pick only one among them to answer and also give special props to the author. So ask away and make it good. Problem is...
It sounds fun, right?
Problem is too many good questions.
Okay.
We have some really, really great guys asking questions, and I just couldn't have pick one. So what I did, I pick 4 for this week, and we'll try to run rather fast through them. So the first question comes from the OG Michael Shields. What is the biggest team challenge that the Nuggets must overcome to maximize their chances in the playoffs? For example, letting teams back in the game after being up 20 plus. I will start with this one. I was thinking just about this example of giving up huge leads, and it's really an important thing, especially this season, because you have 2 guys recovering from injury or recovering from the rehabilitation. So you really need as many fourth quarters of not playing your starters as you can, because that counts almost like a half a game off for these guys. So it is a really big point of emphasis for them that it should be. The second thing I was thinking about is just the importance of integrating the new players as fast as possible. Now that's easier said than done, but if they want to start with a hot start, they will just need to I guess keep it simple enough to be able to integrate all of the new guys as fast as possible, and then build on that. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's a good like general. I mean, as a team, it's a championship trade. Like you can't let teams back in and mess around like that again just because you're building bad habits. And that's, I think, for me, that's the main one, is just not picking up. They're not young anymore, and that it was like it's 2017, 18, like they mess around, they like get back to it, they're plucky. I mean, that's not it anymore. Like they can't allow themselves to be that way. I don't know if that they will. Maybe that because again, it maybe starts from Jokić, and he's not the guy to like step on people's throat. We talked about it so many times, but maybe this season it changes. Like he's also older, he's more experienced. So I would my biggest challenge is to take the season seriously. Not to because again, it's not a given to like just get to the playoffs. Like Clippers were kind of like, last year, even like they had injuries and stuff. Like, cool, we're in the play-in. Like we don't have to try hard to go over, and then don't make the playoffs. That's maybe like that's one example. So I would say take a little bit seriously and like try to like build those good habits like every month, like something. If that's what the coaching staff like, hey, this month we're building on this transition defense. Like let's make an emphasis in this month this and. In the meantime, like we watch film. So I would want to have them like actually build a season in that stupid cliche from the NFL when they all say like the champions are built in August, like when they talk about their or September with their training camps and summer. So like I would want them to see like be serious throughout the season. Whoever plays, like that's always Jokic's mentality anyway. And then Malone's like, if Jack White needs to play some minutes, like doesn't matter. Treat him as he would play in the playoff rotation. And hold them accountable the same way, and go from there and build. So that's my biggest. I think that's the biggest challenge because it's easy with this deep roster and everyone's back. Like everyone's kind of already written them in as the top 4 team in the West. Like you have to still earn it. Like that's why you play the game. So that's my biggest.
I'm not sure everybody is penciling him them in top 4 seed in the West. I'm pretty sure we are, but outside of Denver and I guess Serbia. It might be a bit of a different story. I even saw some lists with Memphis in front of them and so on. So we'll see how it pans out. Okay, next question comes from Jacob Rogero or Jacob Rogero. I'm not sure. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name.
I think it's Jacob. I would say
Jacob. Yeah. So also a homie of our. What is the best lineup for the Nuggets bench? So let's keep all the starters out. What would be the best combination of 5 guys on the bench? Start. You can start with that.
Ooh, let's see. I mean, I did like say good things about Latko, but again, if Jeff Green is still ahead of him there, I would put Zeke at 5, Jeff at 4, Devon, and Bruce and Bones. Like that's. For now, as far as I can see it. So we'll see during the season. Maybe there's something different, but so far.
I agree with your 5. The only thing I might change, and that's something to be seen. It's not something we can know right now. Maybe sprinkle a bit of Ish Smith instead of Davon Reed, just to have more creation among the 5 guys. The defense would, of course, be worse with that 5, but on the other hand, good offense helps you on defense, and hopefully, if they would have more converted possessions with the second unit, that might help on both sides of the court.
That's a good segue for the next question.
Yeah, and the next question comes from Zeke Naji Stan. How far into the season will it be until the bench unit changes from what it is now? I'm putting the over-under at 14.5 games. I just don't know if Bones can consistently be the main facilitator and scorer with that group yet. I see Ish and Zeke coming to the second unit soon. Yeah, I guess we agree with those.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, that's the over under his games. Like, what do you think? How long it'll take?
I'm gonna cop out here and say if the Nuggets are 1-4, then it will be 5 games in. But if they're for any reason, and it's a realistic thing, if they have a hot start, I don't see Malone changing anything.
Well, yeah.
I mean, if the starters are good enough to compensate even for a not optimal bench unit, he will not change it at all. I mean, we know that from the 7 seasons we've seen Michael Malone as the head coach of the Nuggets. And to tell you the truth, when something is working, don't fix it. Even though you see some of the parts of it are not really working, if the whole ensemble is producing results, I guess there is some logic to that. What do you think?
0 games because Murray will not start the season. I'm kidding. That's very radical.
Oh,
well, because then Bones would have to go in the starters, I guess. Or, well, assuming everyone's healthy and was playing. Let's see, 14.5. I'd go over if it needs to change because even if we start losing, I think he'll give it a shot. And well, that's also the thing is what means changing the configuration during the games. I can see it happening like in the preseason game against OKC. Then Malone switches up, not just like necessarily benching Bones, just adding Ish Smith, what you said, maybe. But for Devon Reed, if the defense is not good anyway, might as well try it. And I could see like also if they're switching on some stuff, foul troubles, like all that. But as like considerably like, hey, this is who's coming out of the coming from the bench, like immediately it's Bones, Bruce, and Ish. That's maybe like over those 14.5 games. So that's my thing. Like it would be disappointing if Bones just completely can't handle it. I wouldn't mind if he's there's like a few scenarios too. So like it's complex. So if Bones is just scoring, but like the facilitation is not happening, and then he's scoring, but the unit is overall negative. So then you need another just to help him out with like setting up everything. If he's not even scoring in facilitating, that's like a complete overhaul or like a completely have to ask some questions. And then just in general, like if other players are not stepping up, if Bruce Brown isn't, getting in that feel of like he's a facilitator as well, then you have Ish Smith maybe, and then you release Bruce Brown from that, put him in like a higher positions. So there's a couple of those, a few of those scenarios. So I would see after 15 games, like I suspect him to come out strong of the season. I believe because we weren't good last season in the preseason as much. Like we allowed a bunch of stuff to Golden State. Like we wasn't like Sacramento, I think, and then we opened the season beat the best team in the league pretty easily in Phoenix and pretty decent off defense, I think. So it's preseason, so I want to wait and see what happens.
Okay, before we move to the last fan question of the week, I want to ask you, if you would have to choose a single current Serbian basketball player, that is the most freak athlete of them all, which one would it be?
Freak athlete. Oof.
Yeah.
That's hard.
It's tough. It's hard. It's really hard.
It's really hard. It is. I mean, because I've seen Lucic just like dunk with his teeth, like in the EuroLeague. What would you say? Is that just a comparison?
I mean, it's just the segue before we move to the question. Because if you think about it, it's probably either Lucic or Kalinic, I guess. Maybe Bogdan, maybe. But when you see Bogdan compared to all the other NBA stars, he's not really an athletic guy. So the question we got from the godfather of Nuggets Reddit, Alec Gwynn, is where would you rank the roster from most Serbian to least Serbian?
Well, I understood this more as like the the spirit of basketball play.
No, I
Not just
agree.
like
What I
yeah,
wanted to say, is you cannot compare the athleticism of Nuggets players and
yeah,
use them to examine them as a Serbian or non-Serbian players. So what we will concentrate on will be the spirit of the game, the connectiveness, and everything else.
and it's
So
and just to say sorry, just to
Mhm.
kind of preface when people are listening and watching, it's not this is not like who's the best or who we like the most because he's
That's
the
right.
most Serbian. It's just like what would knowing like our culture and our style of play, which again proved not to be that like it proved to be a little rigid for the style of play in modern basketball right now. So just like the what style is it fits more, not just like so if we put Michael Porter as like the least Serbian or like second to least Serbian, it's not because he's the worst. It's just the style of it. Like we don't have players that are just that crazy shooting. At least like we don't have anymore. Maybe we had in the 90s
Exactly.
or something.
So
Peja was
so
like that maybe.
so the scale will start with 1, as what Michael Porter is, and end it's 10 with, I guess, Nikola Jokić. So let's start player by player, and let's start by the third stringers first, if you
Okay.
agree.
Okay.
So let's go first to Ish Smith. Where would you rank him, as a Serbian or a non-Serbian player?
Ish Smith. I mean, I honestly not that, not that, not that like least. It's more on on the to the most, like maybe 5 or 6, something like
Yeah,
that. Like
5 would be completely neutral, so probably 6.
probably 6. Like I think it's more leaning over to that like stability. Like he can finish. Like he's not great at 3-point shots. Like we have sometimes players that are not great, but like are know the game, know their tempo. So I would say 6.
Okay, Christian Brown.
Uh, honestly, I mean 7 probably.
And maybe
Like
even
that's
an 8. Maybe
maybe
even an
maybe
8,
like
because he really knows his role. He's not forcing anything.
yeah. So
I
so
mean, I
far,
mean,
yeah, yeah.
especially so far. Yeah,
So I would say like I'll invoke his Kansas game. Pretty stable. Like what you expect like a shooting guard from home. Like I would compare him like if he was um how he used to be like there's like Dragan Milosavljevic was like um defensive shooter. Like obviously I think Gagi's better than Brown, but like something like Branko Lazic, like one of those guys. He's just like he's a 3-and-D, like knows his role, doesn't veer off from it too much. So I would say like he's on the maybe more than Ish. So let's say I'm gonna go 7. You could go 8.
listen, man, I have to trust you about the Kansas thing, because the only Kansas I know of is a music group that I really like. So that's fine for me. Okay, next up, Vlatko.
I think it's like a 9.9. Like he's just not playing for us. Like that's the only one. Like why he's not. So. I'd go.
Maybe.
I'm going 10 because like he's not. Even though he's not like if we obviously if Jokić is the max, like he is playing for Serbia and he's Serbian, so like no one then can be 10. But let's say he's out of the loop. Like Vlatko is a 10. Like it's easily.
I agree. Let's leave Zeke for now as a third stringer. What would you say about him?
Zeke. I mean, he's comparable to some of the guys we've had. Like, again, like interestingly enough, I think I'm always like when I'm doing this right now, it's like I'm picturing them in the lineups with other Serbian players and how they can fit. Um, I'm I'm comfortable with an 8, honestly. Like he can defend, like he knows how to shoot from the outside, like he's reliable there. Like doesn't mess up. Like he's high energy. Like who could I compare him to from us? We don't have. I don't think we had a center like that was that way, like a shooter. But we've had like the guys that are that bulky and like can do this stuff. So let's go with an 8.
I agree. Did we miss somebody else from the third stringers? I think there is one more guy we haven't mentioned. I'm not thinking about Jack White. He is on the outside looking in. Who is
No, those
this?
are pretty much. I mean, Peyton Watson.
Oh, Peyton Watson. Yeah.
I mean, he's
Well,
a
I guess
1 probably
for now.
for now. Yeah.
For now. Yeah, Jack White would probably be like an 8.
Yeah,
or a
something
9.
close. Yeah.
Okay. Now
Mainly, we're looking at non-athletic style of play. that's just Serbian.
That's fair. That's fair. Okay, let's now move to Bones Highland.
That's that. I mean, that's honestly. Teodosic is the one that like messes with me because he's that. We
Yeah,
had that like lucid, like he can just playmaker style. So I'd put Bones at like 2.
fair.
Because again, this is not like none of these are criticisms. This is just a style because he's so different style. Like his one-on-one style, like he's so good that it would be a shame to just bog him down into like play for the extra pass and stuff. Like it would be that's why I think like also this is a criticism of our style right now is that it's not perfect because we've seen us lose to teams with a little bit of more like flair.
That's right.
So yeah, I would say that he's a 2.
There's no right way to play basketball. The right
Yeah,
way
yeah,
is the winning way,
yeah, exactly.
and who wins this season, that will be the right way for that season.
Yeah, yeah.
I guess. Okay. Let's see. Bruce Brown.
Well, that's a 9 for me. Like that I said I loved him, and because of that versatility, not too much of a discussion for me there. Just he knows how to do everything on the court. Shoots like when when it's like good for the shot, not just to shoot it. So I'd say he's right there.
Yeah, probably Kalinic is probably the closest
Yeah,
comp to him, I guess.
I mean, he's short. I think he's shorter than College, but like,
But stronger, probably.
yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't know. College is a beast.
We have to invite them to the fist fight. I guess
Yeah.
that's popular right now in the NBA.
Let's not. we know Courage is the strongest.
No, that's right.
We know he's the when he rips the ball out of Giannis's hands like it's nothing. That's he's got the old man strength. What's next?
I'm not commenting when I completely agree with you. I will comment.
Sure.
If I have a big disagreement. Davon Reed.
I'd say he's a 5. Like he's kind of neutral. I think he can fit into a lot of teams in Europe, and he can, like we've seen him kind of do the one-on-one takeover in the G Leagues, and like just be a part of the team, like in for the Nuggets. So it's kind of there. Maybe it's even more like closer to like the Serbia. But let's have a scale at least. Like I think it's neutral. I think he could play for Serbia, but I can see him also not and play for like another team and just like for one of the Bulgaria teams and just like start shooting all over the place. So I think like that's why it's like on the scale in the middle.
I agree. He would be a star in the EuroLeague. I'm pretty sure of that.
That'd be pretty good. I don't know if again, like it depends. Like I haven't seen him that like on the ball, but like it would be pretty decent. Yeah.
Yeah, his shot looks pretty good right now.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes in the coming days. Okay, who's next? Jeff Green.
Well, that's he's a 6 because he is too athletic to be a Serbian. Because he's just insane. But like a lot of this stuff when he plays with Jokić, how he like uses these cuts and these different, I think is like closer to 6 maybe than let's say a 4 because I'm picturing his like turnaround jumpers and a lot of this like one-on-one stuff that's really like would separate him from our style. Like that's more like a nicer hooper.
I agree. 3 or a 4 is a good one for him. DeAndre Jordan. Now this is an interesting one. I mean, the problem with DeAndre Jordan, there's nobody.
Is he any different than Kuzmic? Like how he was. Not like maybe now, but when he's in his prime, like he's just athletic. But like the stuff that he is a center, like he just screens in dunk center, like it's close to what we had. But let's go with the 3, like just because he was like incredibly athletic but not involved
even today
but he's not involved in the offense. Like he doesn't. Yeah. He's just a finisher, and we need for our centers like if he's double teamed or at least something from the low post so he can do.
Okay, I agree with that. It's a pretty low. I mean, it's mostly, to be honest, it's not fair, but it's mostly because of his crazy athleticism we know existed before. But even now, when he jumps and goes for those dunks, those are pretty awesome.
Yeah,
and You will not see that among Serbian players very often. Okay, let's go with the starters and the fifth option, KCP.
That's also like interesting with how Lucic was playing, and like if maybe like a 7. So for, well, actually, because I have to like right now for the Nuggets, what he's doing is a 7, but his stuff in college and like even in Lakers sometimes in Washington, that's more of like he can be like an individual type of player. But let's say a 6 for him again. He reminds me of Gagi Milosavljevic. So let's go with that.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah. Of course.
Yeah,
I agree with that. I agree with. Of course, he is. Yeah, I'm pretty sad he didn't have a better career because of all the injuries he has sustained during years.
Yeah,
okay.
KCP reminds me of him a little bit. Yep.
Yeah. So let's now go to Aaron Gordon. Okay, before we go to Aaron Gordon, would you agree that he was? I mean, Jokić wasn't really trying that hard in that first preseason game. Was Aaron Gordon the best Nugget in these
he was
two
within
games?
his. Yeah, he was. He was because he was doing what he was supposed to do. Like he wasn't worse than last year. He fit in back into like that when he got traded, style, and honestly, shot looks a little bit cleaner. Maybe that's just it looks every year, but he might even look a little bit leaner. I don't know, maybe it's the white jerseys; they're kind of slimming, but he just looked maybe like they threw me off because I thought Drummond also looked leaner in a white jersey yesterday. So maybe who knows? He was. I think it was best. Like he's in good form. I think. I think he's a 9 to me. Like he's very close to the max. Just again, how he played with Jokić last year alone, last almost like season and a half, like is bumping him up that high. Because what he was doing in Orlando, no, definitely not. But how he's adapting and like he actually plays, I think he's closer to like the Serbian style.
I agree. I mean, Aaron Gordon is a 10 in most Serbs' eyes I've talked to, and Adam talked to many people in Serbia when they were visiting, and he was shocked by the how much the Serbs appreciate Aaron Gordon's game on the Nuggets. Okay, Michael Porter, we said 1. We will not dwell on that. Jamal Murray.
Yeah, and that's again, got to remind people that's not an insult. Like it's just
absolutely
style.
not. Absolutely not.
He's so incredible, like individually, and he just again we've so many times we've talked about it. It's just not how he grew up playing. Like he was so good always that it was stupid in high schools where he was playing to not have him have every possession because he was so better. And if that's maybe that was like a we call that like a bear favor, like when it's just. It maybe wasn't the best for him in the future because he didn't learn some of this other stuff. But he's so incredible. I can't blame anyone for like being like, hey, just do your thing, like score 40 a game. And that's why it's just right now he's not on that like style of play because that's like almost this could have been almost like from the most Spurs to the least Spurs.
And that's right. That's actually the right comp. We have a comment here from JD123 saying that would you give Luka Doncic a 2 as well because you gave such a low number to Bones Highland?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What Luka does has nothing to do with Serbian or Yugoslav basketball. It's a completely different. And again, it's not a bad thing. Luka is the most amazing basketball player, one of the best basketball players.
And also, like because we're Serbian doesn't mean I don't like to watch, like
that's right
all the time. Like I'm not. It's not like something I would turn on first, as far as Luka and Dallas is concerned. But it's not like I dislike him because he doesn't play the Serbian way. Again, I've said like we lost in the freaking Euros in the eighth round or whatever, round 16. Like we're not perfect.
Thank you to all of the guys giving these awesome questions.
Jamal?
We didn't say Jamal?
Yeah, we didn't. No, it was Murray.
Oh, Jesus.
Jamal. What do you think? I have no idea with him. Like, I think he's like a 3, maybe.
Yeah.
Because he knows Jokić, but it's still
4.
like, it's still that individual. He knows pick and roll, but it's not the same.
What would he be if he's not on the Nuggets? He would be a 1.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe.
I mean, he's
But he does.
so awesome.
It's awesome. Well, few people that are like throwing wrinkles into the thing of like this, at least like Peja Stokovic we can say like, okay, Michael Porter,
That's right.
as in like the shooter, like you just let him cook and he cooks
In many ways, like a Michael Porter.
and so that also, so on that level, that's why it's like interesting to talk about, because then we're basically taking off these like incredibly individual performers. Again, Teodosic was similar way. Like if you have Teodosic in your head, then Murray, Bones, all these guys are like, they can do individual like he does. He can throw crazy passes like he, not like he can, but like to the point where in the pick and roll. So again, it's smorgasbord. But let's say like if you go in with the mean, like the average, those guys are like probably on the low Serbian angle, like Serbian basketball.
Yes.
So.
Okay, let's now storm through the last two segments.
I sweated through these questions. I have to like take a breath. Like it's tricky. Like try not to offend anyone.
First one, it will only take a minute. Nugget stat of the week. Every week, I'll try to find a stat nobody's brave enough to talk about, or more realistically, a stat so bizarre nobody wants to talk about. So Jack White played only 5 minutes and 34 seconds on the court against Chicago. He, as Harrison mentioned last night, out-rebounded both Zeke Nagy and Jeff Green in those minutes. But let's see his plus-minus stat. So the Nuggets were +4 with him on the court and -22 without him. So shout out to all the homies down under. Jack White, I love that guy.
He's great. I like him too, especially when they like learn that he's like the best shooter, I guess. I agree. Like awesome this story. Was, I like how there was like a fun question asked, like least Serbian, most. I'm looking through the comments. I agree. Like it could have been probably framed like most team basketball, least team basketball, I guess. But that's the thing is like when you, I think like when you, I mean it's not a stereotype, but like when you generalize, in general, like everyone when you ask us Serbians, what's the style of Yugoslav basketball? It's like it's team basketball. And I mean, and JD mentioned
it's just distilling into one main component. It's not the only component, but it is a main
exactly.
component.
And because I see like mentioned like Dali Pagic, Kacanovic, Dražen Petrovic, like of course these guys are, but they also were playing for the team. It wasn't just solo, even though they could do that. So I'm like, again, Doncic same way, like he is singular, but he's singular in that like heliocentric style of basketball that everyone else fits around him. And with even Jokić is so good that he was also fitting to the team. It wasn't just the team fitting around him completely. That's what I was saying. Like I sweated through my shirt just to try to like tiptoe around these things because like it's there's no like perfect answer. So I apologize if I insulted anyone. Like
this is not a scientific podcast.
Yeah.
It's not a scientific podcast. So what you gonna do? Okay. Yeah. For the very end, Nuggets NBA trivia. Every other week, we'll alternate between Nuggets and general NBA trivia, and we'll ask the live audience to participate in it. This week, we'll start off with Nuggets trivia. Let's list the 5 guys with the best assist-to-turnover ratio for the last regular season, so 2021, 2022. Minimum 40 games played. I don't want to get any stats about Ray John Tucker or whatever. So I want to concentrate on guys that actually played last season. So 5 guys with the best assist to turnover ratio. And I will not give you Monte Morris. Everybody knows he's number 1 on this list. So the other 4 guys we are trying to
screw you. I knew that one.
Of course. Everybody knew it's Monte. So who are the other 4 guys? What do you think?
Gordon.
Gordon is not on the list.
Whoa,
he's actually not even 6th. I don't remember where he is, but he's not near the top.
So minimum 40 games, turnover ratio. God, who was on the team last year? Barton,
it is. He is number 5 on this list with 2.17 assists per turnover.
I'm trying to remember. Was good. Facu,
yeah, that's a good guess. He is number 3 with 3.28. I forgot to mention that Monte had 4.27
what a
assists to turnover ratio, which still need only 2 guys.
So okay, I got
One of
15
that is a
I got fifth and third.
surprise.
Okay, so I'm gonna use Ray's Bones. I guess he's the one with the
Yes,
ball.
and
Yeah.
I think Bones is a pretty big surprise here because of his, manic style of play. I was a bit surprised that he is among the top guys
Is he fourth or
on
second?
this list. He's fourth.
Fourth.
He's
Okay.
fourth with 2.22.
2.22. So Jokić is he?
No, he's number 6.
No, okay. I thought.
He
Okay, I
is
figured.
he
'Cause
is
I can't
still
remember what we
at the
talked
top,
about.
but not among the best ones.
No, the best. Okay,
So I will help you with this number 2.
No,
So
no, no,
this,
no, 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 no. Let
okay,
me try. Let me try to
okay.
go through the roster. Because we had Monte Gordon, Jeff Green. Oh, he doesn't pass. He doesn't pass.
Yeah, but that's a good thing. If you don't pass, you
Yeah,
will
that's
not
fair.
lose the ball as well.
Well, I don't know if Boogie played 40 games. Boogie?
No, Boogie
That'd be
didn't play
too
40
much.
games.
I swear if it's no, Lotko didn't play 40, Zeke didn't play 40, Devon didn't play 40. Who was last year? PJ didn't play 40. I don't even know.
Yeah, I will help you.
Yeah,
It is Davon Reed. Davon Reed did
it
play
is.
40
He played
games.
40?
Yeah,
Okay.
and he had 3.31 assists per turnover, which is pretty good. I know it's not big numbers, but it's always smart if you don't pass the ball too much.
Do you know the total assist numbers for him?
Oh, I don't have it.
Well, because he had
on
I
me.
remember when he showed up the first few games, he had like 4 or 5 assists in each of those games, and didn't have a lot of points, but like he passed a decent amount.
I agree with that. Let me see if I can see
Yeah,
that.
Alexander. Yeah, we said Facu was third on the list. He did play. He played a lot of games.
Oh yeah, he did. He
Yeah.
did. Well, he just got cut out of rotation for the last
yeah.
20 games or something, maybe even less than
Cool.
that.
So we have Monte, Devon, Bones. No, Facu, Bones,
Facu,
Barton.
Bones, and Barton. So
Cool.
out of these 5 guys, only 2 guys are still on the roster. Okay,
Nice.
Thank you very much for hanging with us for this last 63 minutes. Have a great weekend, and after that, have a great week. Hopefully, we'll have some better games to talk about next week. And let's go Nuggets.
Yeah, let's go Nuggets. See the Nuggets. Idemo Nuggets. Pam, pam, pam.